Hello and welcome to our live event. We have today great news for you. My name is Sören, CEO at inray. I'm sitting here next to my colleague and international partner manager, Thorsten Weiler. Hello, Thorsten.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yes, great news. The news are regarding the OPC router, our product for Industry 4.0 data communication. The OPC router is currently available in version 4 and in a few days the version 5 will be available. This is a big step from version 4 to 5. Why this big step? We added a new big feature to the OPC router, a very exciting feature as we feel the OPC router will get a web GUI. So in the future, with the new version, it will be possible to manage the OPC router in your browser. You don't have to log into a remote system anymore. You are just open your browser and you are in the well-known, easy to use OPC router GUI, but in the browser. So we are excited. Thorsten, what do you think? What do the partners or what do you think about the new version?
I personally really love it. And especially our international channels, so our preferred distributors all around the world, they're really excited to work with version 5 because the great news is that the OPC router already always has been well known for its operational simplicity and the very easy to use user interface. And now with version 5 and the web user interface, it gets even more easy to use it. So you don't need to connect to a server, you just open a browser and then you can directly connect to all the systems in your company without being any expert, and you can use all the features available just through a browser, and that's what people really love at the moment.
Yeah, you see, we are very excited. There are many reasons to be excited. And so most of you may know the OPC router, but maybe there are also some people that don't know the OPC router. So we prepared some slides to tell you what's the OPC router all about. So Thorsten, maybe you can show the slides.
Yeah, I'll have to. So let me open that slide here. So for those of you who don't know OPC router at the moment, so OPC router is an industrial middleware software solution. You can also call it communication platform, data hub, something like this. So what it mainly does is connects different kinds of systems and makes sure that the data transfer will be successful between all kinds of systems. So no matter if these are OT systems located on the shop floor or IT systems, so OPC router really connect those systems and exchanges data. And this is mainly what it does. Examples could be that you directly can connect to a machine and then send data to a database for data logging, or you can connect to an ERP solution and make sure that a production order gets down to the shop floor, ready for production. You can connect industrial printers, RFID systems, barcode readers, databases, non-relational databases, relational databases. You can also use OPC router to send alarms and notifications via email, via messaging systems like Telegram, like Microsoft Teams. So a lot of different kinds of use cases make OPC router really a one big communication platform which can handle all the communication processes in the whole company. That's what it mainly does.
Okay, thank you, Thorsten. Yeah, as you mentioned, the OPC router in the middle of all these systems, like a heart in the middle, pumping the data from system A to system B. So the important thing for the OPC router is that the right information comes to the right time, to the right place, and this is the job of the OPC router. And our customers doing applications, use cases with it, like data acquisition or Industry 4.0 data communication, or the connection of IT, OT. And while using the OPC router in all these use cases, the important thing is that you don't feel the OPC router. The OPC router has to do its job 24/7. So the best case in the operational use case from the OPC router is when you don't even recognize the OPC router. But when you have new needs in your data communication infrastructure or you have new use cases, then the point comes where you recognize the OPC router again, you have to use the GUI again. This is the point where nowadays you log into your remote system and this hidden place where the OPC router runs and does his job, and go into this remote system and configure the OPC router. And this will change very much in the future, because you don't have to go to this hidden remote place. You just can open your browser and do your work there. We invested a lot of time and thoughts into the GUI of the OPC router to make it as easy as we can, as nice with drag and drop and all this stuff. Thorsten, what is the feedback from the international partners or international customers about the GUI from the existing OPC router?
Oh, they love it. And I think there are two things that make OPC router very special and very unique. One is, as you mentioned, the GUI, so the user interface. I don't know, and also our distributors don't know any other system that's so easy to use. So you can directly drag and drop your data sources and data targets onto the screen and connect them with the mouse just by clicking and dragging and dropping. It's so easy to use, and you don't need to be an expert to connect all these systems, because nobody's an expert in SAP, Kafka, industrial printers, databases, and so on. So it's so easy to use that you just choose your data source and your data targets, and you drag and drop them, and you just double click on them. You choose the data points you would like to transfer, and that's it. So it's so simple to use, and that's what everybody loves. And with version 5, it becomes even more easy to use, because you just need a web browser. So you don't need to access to a server. You just connect to OPC router via your web browser, and then you simply can use all the features of OPC router and connect all the different kinds of systems, no matter where you are located with your notebook or with your computer at that time. And I think so that's one thing that people really love. So the operational simplicity, the drag and drop mechanism and everything, the no-code environment of OPC router, that's what everybody loves. And the second thing is also very important, which everybody loves, is the high amount of available, we call them plugins or connectors. So the different kinds of systems and protocol that are supported. So OPC router does not only, connect 5 different kinds of systems. It can connect almost any system that you have in a company. So no matter if it's an IT system, an OT system, if it's ERP, if it's an industrial printer, if it's a non-relational database, a cloud system, or an RFID system. So you can connect all these systems with each other simply via drag and drop. And because OPC routers offer so much versatile plugins and connectors. And since 2 years, OPC router already also can support Linux operating systems, which makes it even more simple to use and versatile to use, because so everybody's talking about edge. We have a lot of machines that are not connected to the network, that are located somewhere on the edge. They have a controller running Linux on them, and you can directly put OPC router in a Docker container on these controllers and connect these machines with the rest of your company systems and exchange data. And you always know which state that machine is in and everything. So it's really great. And as you said, so using it via a web browser makes it even more exciting and easy to use.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Thorsten, you found the right words, love. I think I did a lot of OPC router connections that day. I think you also did a lot of OPC router connections also in your life. So, and we are big fans. We love the GUI, and this is also what we hear from our partners and customers and all. And as you said, the time doesn't stop, the development doesn't stop. There are these edge devices, and on an edge device you don't have a big Windows systems where you can log into it. The browser, the web GUI is the only access to these devices, because in the future I think this centralized system of an OPC router will change a little bit. You will have this centralized OPC router, and additionally you have these decentralized OPC routers running and doing the job at the machine or at the production areas. Yeah, very exciting. But we don't only want to talk about it. Now we want to see the new version, and therefore my colleague and the team leader of our development team, OPC Router Jonathan Malessa, prepared an use case, and now he will show us how the OPC Router version 5 acts in the reality.
Thank you very much, Torsten. Thank you very much, Sören. A very nice introduction, very nice, very informative couple of minutes you've done there. And welcome all together from my side as well. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Jonathan Malessa. I'm responsible for the development of OPC Router. And I'm really excited to not only talk about OPC Router 5, but finally be able to be allowed to show OPC Router 5 hands-on, not only through slides and in a very theoretical manner, but really getting hands-on, getting practical, and showing how to set up a project and yeah, just doing things with OPC Router 5. Before we do that, I do have two very short slides. I know you've seen a slide already, but I've kept it quick and short. So let's jump straight in the slides. The first one being about the deployment options, the second one being about the use case I'll set up later on. The deployment options, as you can see here, are edge, server, and cluster. Those are the main three options, whereas edge, like Torsten already mentioned, is growing and is something where you often see technologies like Docker being incorporated, and you may use edge deployments to really get OPC Router close to machinery and reduce points of failure. Secondly, and this is the typical deployment use case we've seen with OPC Router 4, that is the server deployment. So you still, with OPC Router 5, have a Windows installer. You can just execute that, you get a desktop shortcut, and you can use OPC Router 5 just like you know it from OPC Router 4, so no large changes there. And finally, there's the cluster option. If for whatever reason using OPC routers built-in redundancy is not sufficient for your requirements, you could deploy OPC Router 5 to a cluster and increase the resilience and therefore fulfill your requirements. And with that, we're done through the deployment options. Let's take a quick look at the use case. So we see we have some machinery. This is generating data, and we will use CapServerX. I've prepared that to transform the data to OPC UA. And in the cloud, we have a cloud system which expects data via MQTT. And in the middle, we will close that gap between OPC UA and MQTT using OPC Router to collect machine data and transform it and push it to the cloud for monitoring, for alarming, and all sorts of other purposes. So that's about it regarding slides. So let's jump into the user interface. In the UI, we are greeted by the sign-in screen. OPC Router 5 is secure by default. So we offer a couple of authentication mechanisms. We have username and password, which I'll use in a second. We have Azure Active Directory and Windows authentication. So there are a couple of options to choose to hopefully suit your requirements as best as possible. So let's start with username and password, sign in. And now that we've signed in, anyone who knows OPC Router 4 should feel right at home seeing this. So on the left, we have the plugins. On the right, we have the transfer objects. And in the middle, we have our large workspace. To save us some time, I've prepared two plugin instances, one for connecting to the cloud system through MQTT. We can check that connection and get it confirmed that it's working. So we can just close that off. And secondly, I've prepared the OPC UA client, which is connecting to the CAP server. But now let's jump right into setting up a project or setting up a connection, a data flow. Let's name it machine to cloud. And while editing, let's start with the time trigger. And we'll set that to every 5 seconds to get data periodically. Next, let's grab the OPC data access transfer object. Let's select the CAP server. Use the tag browser to simply select the tags, so no need to memorize or transfer them over manually. You can just browse for the tags, and let's use heating and the level for now. Then we'll use a JSON write transfer object to transform the data to a format which the cloud is capable of understanding. I've used level and heating, level and heating. Level, of course, being a float, heating being a Boolean, is the heater enabled or not? And we'll generate the paths for that so that we can write to those fields. Now we can drag an arrow from heating to heating and from level to level. And here you can see one of the aspects where we've integrated user feedback. We've had a lot of user feedback. We've integrated a lot of user feedback in OPC Router 5. One of these things being the grid. So you can see the small dots and the transfer object snapping to those dots. So it's really easy to get the arrows to line up straight, and it just looks nice that way. Now let's grab the MQTT transfer object, select the cloud system, and in the topic, we will enter monitoring, tag 1, and it's sensor data. And then we can just connect the JSON to the payload. And now we've pretty much set everything up. And to have this running, we have to set it productive. So we hit make changes productive. We get a preview of what we will set productive. And we can hit make changes productive to commit to that. Now, after a quick initialization and waiting the 5-second interval of the time trigger, we see that the level of 24.10 has been transferred. Now, the level has already changed. We could take a look at the JSON, which has been built for the cloud. And yeah, that way we've already set up a simple data flow. But now let's imagine we are like 6 months in advance or 6 months in the future. And the requirements have changed. There are a couple of more data points we have to transfer to the cloud for monitoring purposes. So let's go back to the editing view, and we can simply open the OPC data access once again, use the tag browser, and really browse for the new data points. So no need, once again, no need to memorize things, no need to type out things. You can just click through it, and let's use temperature and venting. So now we can add temperature and venting over here. Temperature, of course, being a float, and venting is the overpressure valve opened being a Boolean. So now we connect temperature and venting data points to JSON to write those values to the document being published to the cloud as well. So now to drive things home about setting things productive, let's take a quick look at the status. And even though we've already changed the project configuration and prepared transferring the 2 additional data points, we still only see 2 data points being transferred as of right now and not 4, because we haven't set those productive yet. So we can really make changes to the project without any risk. If we hit go productive, we can see in the preview what has changed. So in this case, the 2 data points being added. And if we now commit to that, we can see that the 2 additional data points appear in the status view as well. And in the next transfer, we see the temperature is around about 60 degrees, so no need to open the overpressure valve. So it's really floating at around about 60 degrees. And if we're interested in seeing what the temperature was a while ago, because now we have already a couple of data points or a couple of transfers have happened, we can go back and see that the value was 59.965 previously, or we can switch back to the live view. And that's about it. So we've really quickly connected to an OPC server and a cloud system. We gathered machine data, transformed it to a format the cloud is capable of understanding, and published this to the cloud. So yeah, this is about it for the live demo. And on that note, let's get back to Thorsten and Sören for some more information about OPC Router 5.
Thank you, Jonathan. This was amazing. Everybody who knows the OPC router now gets an impression how the future will be, and I'm personally very impressed that the OPC router GUI, as we know it all, with all its easy using and the drag and drop and all this stuff, was converted directly into a web GUI. I'm personally impressed because some years ago I thought this would be never possible, but the new technologies allowed our development team to make this step into the web, and it's amazing how this could happen and how the solution now looks like. And yeah, of course, as I said, all people who know the OPC router now have seen that the easiness, the well-known GUI was converted with all the comfortability into the web GUI. And for all who don't know the OPC router already, they can now start immediately with a perfect modern state-of-the-art Industry 4.0 communication software right now. Not right now, in a few days. So, and the use case you showed, Jonathan, is really a use case we find at many customers. OPC UA is one of the most used Industry 4.0 protocols. And also MQTT is one of the rising stars in the Industry 4.0 communication, but there are so many other systems, and that is what the OPC router does perfectly. He sits in the middle and connects to the system, and is responsible for the data communication between the systems. Yeah, there are only a few days to go, 2 days exactly. Yeah. But when I now want to play, how do I get the link or the software, Thorsten?
Oh, that's as easy as it is as to use OPC router. So if you would like to download the software and test it, first of all, you get a full demo license. You can test everything, all the features. So there's no specific limitation for the demo. So and to download it, it's pretty simple. So the first and most easiest thing would be maybe to speak to your local preferred OPC router distributor. So as you might know, OPC router is used worldwide in more than 60 countries over the globe already. So just ask your local OPC router distributor for a download link. If you don't know who your local OPC router distributor is because you're new to OPC router, then you can just look on our website, which is opc-router.com, and there you will find a list of all our international distributors. So they are sorted by country. You just need to pick your country, and then you will find your local distributor and connect with them. You can also stay on opc-router.com. You will also find a direct download link there. That's pretty simple to use. You can shoot us an email and we connect you with your distributor and send you the download link. You can also have a look into the chat right now, and we will post a link for download. So there are lots of different kinds of options to get a full download version, demo version of OPC router. Pretty simple.
Yeah, thank you, Thorsten. Yeah, as Thorsten said, being subscribed to the newsletter is an important thing. Then you will get the link immediately, as fresh as can be, and just when we release it.
Yeah, and that's what I needed to mention. We will post it also into the newsletter, and so register to our newsletter if you didn't do that already. Yeah, or follow us on LinkedIn or social media, so you will also get all the news. Sorry, I forgot to talk about that.
Okay, and yes, or contact your local distributor. Always a good thing. Yeah, so we are excited. We hope you're also excited. Have fun with the new version, let's say, and bye-bye. See you next time.